Hello all, it is 2 o'clock Tuesday afternoon, and that means it's tea time with Captain Awesome. I am Captain Awesome, regular name Jeff Avery, but for all intents and purposes, here we are, Captain Awesome. I'm glad you're joining me. I know that there's a lot going on in the world today. Many of you are parents who are have their kids home from school. Many of you are kids who have your parents home from work. All of us are dealing with some difficult stuff. So I thought I'd go ahead and give a little bit of talk every day for the next foreseeable future. As long as I have topics, as long as I can keep it fairly interesting. It is 2 o'clock, and that means it is tea time. I've got my cup of tea. I hope you've got yours. I don't have any biscuits right now. What's interesting is that I always heard about tea and biscuits. Didn't realize till I actually went to Europe that what they meant by biscuits was cookies. And that sounds much better to me. But the Girl Scout cookies are all gone. We've actually been trapped in the house for 7 days. So today, we're going to have tea time with Captain Awesome. We're going to talk about squid. The squid is my personal favorite animal. It's quite amazing, actually. I'm sure that you guys have all seen squid at some point in time. Most of you have probably seen it fried up on a platter with cocktail sauce or tartar sauce. That is the way that most people interact with squid, loligo, or calamari. But it is actually an amazing animal. We're going to talk about why it's one of my favorites. It is a perfect predatory machine, and we will get to that in just a minute. So let's make sure this works. Remember, I'm an older guy, so I'm not always sure that this is going to do what I want it to do. Oh, look at that, it's working, right? So there's a couple of different kinds of squid. They all kind of follow the same basic pattern. Here's a nice, beautiful, regular squid. This is the kind of squid we would have in the waters around Cape Cod and the Atlantic coast. See how it's got this nice pearlescent outside. It's got beautiful kind of wings that it flies with. Absolutely gorgeous animal. Look at this one, bright red. The thing is, this one could be the same as that one. Same species, maybe, could be a different species, but squid and cephalopods have this amazing ability to change colors. We're going to talk about that in just a minute as well. And then here's another squid. This one is actually called the disco squid because it changes colors and they're so bright that they look almost like they're powered to a certain extent, and they really oscillate. You could tell that it's kind of probably an older scientist who named it the disco squid, because a younger scientist probably would have named it the rave squid. Same principle, different era. And then we have these long squid that have this long tentacle in the front. It's pretty amazing. They think that they're using that tentacle a little bit as a bait and then to capture its prey. Okay? So we have roughly 300 species of squid. Now, some of you may have seen my shark video. We tend to be familiar in our kind of little world that we live in with a certain number of species of animals, okay? On Cape Cod, we're familiar with about 5 or 6 different species of snakes. We're familiar with about 8 species of shark. But there's almost 400 different species of snakes. There's over 400 species of shark. And here, for sure, we only really interact with one type of squid, and that's the one that we generally catch in the spring to eat. But there are over 300 species. They range from a tremendous size difference. One of the smallest is called the southern pygmy squid. That squid is 3/4 of an inch long. Look at me now. It's about that long, just barely the tip of my pinky finger, full grown, right? Tiny little squid. You can probably even barely see that. And then we have the colossal squid. This is the largest squid that we know about it. Been a lot of talk about the giant squid. The colossal squid is different than the giant squid. We've got some video of the giant squid. We don't have any video of the colossal squid. The only evidence we have of the colossal squid is the only hard part of it, the beak, and some carcasses that have washed up on the beaches. How do we know it wasn't just a big giant squid? Because we have some genetic material from a giant squid. We have genetic material from a colossal squid, and when we compare them together, we can see that they are a different species. The colossal squid can be anywhere from 30 to 33 feet in length. That is enormous. And it weighs between 1,300 and 1,500 pounds. Very few animals that are invertebrates can achieve that size. Remember, this is an invertebrate. It doesn't have a backbone, okay? The only other animal that I have personal experience with that might be as large as that, weigh as much as that, is my ex-mother-in-law. And I don't really deal with her too much anymore, so that's kind of a cool thing. So, check out the size of this thing, okay? Woo! This is a person, you know, waving nonchalantly. I don't know about you, but if I was swimming in the water and a colossal squid came by that was 33 feet long, I'd be doing a little bit more than casually waving at it. It is an enormous animal. Its only predator that we know of is a sperm whale. And how do we know that? Because when we captured sperm whales, way back when we were still capturing sperm whales, we would open the stomach of a sperm whale and out would spill the black beaks of the squid that it had eaten. Here's kind of a general size. Blue whale, 25 meters long. Giant squid, 18 meters. The colossal squid, 20. Again, the blue whale gets to be about 100 feet long when it's fully grown. So again, that's, you know, more than double the size of a colossal squid. But a colossal squid is a gigantic animal. Hold on. Hello, Jessica. How are you? Over there, I got people watching all the way from Switzerland. Can you believe that? Jamie, yes. The tie is actually from a company called Cyber Optics in Detroit. I really like it because it is a squid. I also have an octopus tie and a diatoms tie. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Thank you very much. So next, taxonomy of the squid. So if you're familiar with taxonomy, you know that we name animals depending on their kingdom, and it helps keep it organized. So the squid are Animalia, and then their phylum is Mollusca. That's the same phylum that clams are in, believe it or not, and whelks and conchs and things like that. But then they start to branch off. Its class is Cephalopoda, which literally means head, foot, right? Poda for foot, cephala for head, because the whole thing looks like a head. That's not true. It's just the way that it's packaged. But remember, these were named a long time ago. The order is Tuthida. The family is Loligonida. And then the genus is Loligo. And then the species names changes as we go. For instance, a giant squid is Architeuthurus, Loligo Architeuthurus, right? Octopus are cousins. When you get to the class Cephalopoda, the octopus become Octopoda instead of Cephalopoda. So that's pretty interesting, okay? Let's see. Here's a quick anatomy of a squid. We're going to talk about a couple of really cool things here. I'm not sure how well you can see it on the screen. I will make the PowerPoint presentation available later with a little narration as a video, so it might be a little more clear, okay? Two things that are really neat that I want to talk about. One is this little item here called a siphon. This is where water flows in and out of the squid. That's part of what makes it an incredible predator. It also has two hearts. It has a regular heart that pumps blood out into the body, and then it has a separate heart called a gill heart that it uses to pump blood directly into the gills to get that low oxygenated blood re-oxygenated, okay? And then it has this pen. If you've ever dealt with squid, you open it up, it has this little kind of flexible material that helps keep its body a little stiff. It's not a backbone, it's not a vertebrae. It's just there kind of free floating to keep it stiff. And then it's got this thing called a radula. It has a mouth, and then it has the beak around it. And it's got a radula, which is a little toothed tongue. There's another type of animal that we have on Cape Cod that also has a radula. That's many members of the snail group. A moon snail, for instance, has a radula, which it uses to scrape to the shell of a clam or a mussel and suck out the animal that is inside. I want you to make note of the size of the eye. The eye on a squid is really large in proportion to the rest of its body. And so people oftentimes think, hey, that thing must see a lot of different colors. That is in fact not the case. As far as we can tell, squid only see in black and white, which makes the next part of the presentation even a little bit more mysterious. And in that part of the presentation, we're going to talk about chromatophores, literally color-changing cells. So this is the skin of a squid, okay? That skin is very, very, very thin. When you eat squid, that skin has generally been peeled off. But I want you to see just what happens when you can stimulate the skin. This is a dead squid, preface that. It's even more dynamic and more amazing when the squid is alive. Can you see those pulsating and moving? That's really, really cool stuff. It's a tiny little cell that makes the color change happen. You've seen the videos of octopus like blending into their surroundings. This is what squid and cephalopods in general can do. Cuttlefish, octopus, all these kind of animals. Next time you're at the zoo or the aquarium and you go into the squid tank, I want you to take a look really, really closely. Sit and pay attention, and you will see. I'm stuck. Hold on. Give me a second. Told you I'm not very good at this stuff. Hold on. There we go. This is kind of a close-up of the skin, these different colors, and they're able to make patterns and waves as they move down as well. Now I'm stuck. Hold on. I have this really ancient computer that I'm doing this on. It tends not to work real well. Sorry. So, yep. What just happened? Don't know. Just bear with me for 1 second. Old man-itis here. I'm very, very, very sorry. I'm going to skip that slide real quick. All right. This is what I mostly wanted to talk about. This is a single cell of that chromatophore. It has these a cache of pigment granules in the middle. And what happens is, you can't see it very well, but there's these little folds, and that pigment is moved up and down through the cell, and the amount of pigment kind of determines what color it's going to be. They can go anywhere from white to like a really dark red. I spent a summer working on Bob Ballard's boat. If you don't know who Bob Ballard is, this is the gentleman who found the Titanic. That's what he's most famous for. What I enjoy him for is because he found the black smokers that are down in the Pacific Ocean and actually helped create theories that fundamentally changed how we looked at how life could create. Those animals are chemotrophic instead of photosynthetic. They live off the chemicals coming out of the things. But one of the things I was able to do was catch squid. I like to eat squid. It happens sometimes. And I would catch them. As soon as I hooked them, they would start flashing white and red. And I wasn't sure if that was warning the other squid away. Obviously, it was stressed or whatever, but it was really amazing to watch as they flashed in different colors on the deck of the vessel. I highly recommend, there's a video by a Dr. Roger Hanlon called Insane in the Chromatophore. It's on YouTube. He literally stimulated the chromatophores with electrical impulses set to the tune of Insane in the Brain by Cypress Hill. It's a pretty amazing video to watch. So here's that propulsion that I wanted to talk to you about. Again, steps towards the squid being an amazing predator. So they have this siphon in this mantle cavity, okay? The siphon shoots out this way. What they can do is fill their siphon full of water and then really contract, boom! And when they do that, they are jet propelled. They can move forwards and backwards on a dime, and they move really, really, really fast. So that's one part of why this animal is such a great predator, okay? So the other part is their grip. So this is a squid ring teeth. So when you see their arms are all covered with tentacles. Every single one of those tentacles has a little ring in there of razor sharp teeth. Now an octopus, it grips you with the suckers, just grips you. They're strong, they're hard to get off, they create a vacuum. But the squid not only creates a vacuum, it grips you with those teeth. So I'm sorry, I have a question coming in real quick. So Ms. Kelly, your son wants to know what part is calamari? The whole thing is calamari. When we hollow it out and take the kind of the guts out of the inside, but this tube and those tentacles are what you would be eating if you were having calamari in a restaurant. I have found that the bigger the squid, the less tasty they are. I'm not sure why, it just is what it is. So these things are able to grasp and hold on. I had one get a grip on me once, and it definitely left some red marks. It was a feeling I definitely did not like, to be in the grip of that squid, and it was really strong, and it's got 8 arms. So that's a lot of arms to grab a hold of you with, okay? And then the crudité, the coup d'etat of the whole thing, are these long tentacles, okay? So it's got these 8 arms around its mouth, but then it has these 2 tentacles that are kind of tucked inside of its body, okay? So using all of its skill, what it does is it very slowly and very carefully positions itself so that it's not too scary to whatever it's going to eat, be that a fish or whatever, and it slowly moves up. And then what it does is when it gets close enough, but not too close, it shoots those tentacles out, grabs it with those suckers with those teeth, and pulls it in and eats it with a razor-sharp beak. They also eat each other, okay? They are cannibalistic. I have definitely caught squid and thought it was something huge, and when I got it to the surface, it was simply because there was another squid eating it as I was reeling it in, okay? This is the mouth of a squid, and then this is the beak. It's the hardest part of a squid. It is razor sharp and very, very tough. I had some at one point in time. I've misplaced them. I'm not sure where, but again, This is the part that is the hardest part of a squid. When they would cut the sperm whales open, that's what would come out of the stomach of the sperm whale. And they knew that it belonged to a squid. They knew that it belonged to a huge squid. Look at the size of that beak coming out of a giant squid. Massive. It could take a big chunk of you right out. And this is a squid that's been attacked by another one of its brethren. A big giant chunk taken right out of it. So it's fast. It has grippy tentacles. It has a razor sharp beak. It has excellent eyesight. All of that makes it a fantastic predator. Okay? This is the last little bit of the slideshow, and then I'm just going to talk about a couple of things in general about the squid. So this is a batch of squid eggs. Each one of these little tubes will have maybe 100 or 200 eggs in there. Eventually, those eggs will turn into little tiny squid that will hatch out of the eggs. They lay them in clumps on the bottom. They don't always protect them, but there are some squid that will brood their batch of eggs and protect them. This is a very deep sea squid. I'm not sure the species, but that's a big ball of eggs underneath it. Okay, so that's the end of that. A couple of things I wanted to talk to you about the squid that also make it amazing. We haven't even talked about the ink. They have this escape process where if they get startled or they need to go away, they squirt ink into the water and it disperses and makes a cloud and they get away. That ink sac that is in the squid is a tiny, tiny little ink sac. It disperses in the water very, very well. Again, that's an evolutionary thing that is pretty amazing. Also, squid have a nervous system somewhat similar to humans in that they have an axon and a dendrite and a nucleus of the cell, and they have a myelin sheath. So squid are often used in research to help research diseases that humans have so that we don't have to do the research on actual people. It's similar enough. We get similar readings back from them. For instance, they think that maybe Alzheimer's or dementia or other diseases like that are because of the degradation of the myelin sheath on the neuron. So by studying that in the squid, we can determine the effects of the lessening of the neurons. Pretty amazing. If any of you are from the Cape or visit the Cape, and you have an opportunity to take a tour of the Marine Resource Center down in Woods Hole, it's now part of the University of Chicago Marine Biological Laboratory. The ship, the Gemma, goes out every day and catches live squid. It's important to keep the squid alive so the scientists can have them very, very fresh, both for the chromatophore. They're studying how their eyes work, the nervous connection between the eye and the brain. Pretty amazing stuff, as well as that myelin sheath stuff. Highly recommend you go check it out if you get a chance. You can take a tour by calling ahead. They do group tours every once in a while. Also, next time you're at the aquarium, which is a great place for observation, and you're at the cuttlefish tank or the squid tank, just sit for a little while and just watch. You will see patterns of color change, of ripples. It looks artificial. It's absolutely amazing. And if you're lucky enough to be there when they feed them, you can see the actual grab of the tentacles and the lightning quick move of the squid. And there are lots of squid out there. Does anybody have any questions? Because that's pretty much all I've got on the squid today. The reason I'm looking down is because I can see the screen that has the questions on it. So I apologize. If you don't think I'm looking at you, I'm trying my best. I'm still relatively new at this. And one little note before I go, be nice to each other. I often feel like we have the ability to be kind and to be nice, and we don't sometimes exercise it quite enough. It's going to be tough for people in the next few weeks as they're kind of stuck in their house and a situation that makes them a little uncomfortable and a little bit scared. So please be nice, do what you can to help other people, and I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe we'll be outside. The weather's good today. We'll see what happens tomorrow. All right. Thank you all for joining me. Enjoy your tea. Tomorrow I'll have biscuits. Sorry, Carrie, can you still see me? They only hold about 2 grams, tiny little bit of kind of a liquid ink inside their body. When they eject it into the water, it disperses into a huge cloud. Okay, guys, see you tomorrow.